Hi, how's everyone doing today? Welcome back to the Nerd Lounge. We've done a lot of videos recently about all the manga that I own and what I think of some of the series that I've been reading recently. However, there's one thing that every manga collector is left thinking, and that is about the manga that they don't own. There's a lot of manga out there that I don't actually own at the moment that I'd love to get my hands on and to be able to read. So today I thought I'd go through my top 10 manga that I wish I had in my collection. We're going to give a brief synopsis and basically explain why I want them. Before we do any of that, if you guys want to get a hold of some manga yourself, you can use the links down in the description to Forbidden Planet, Right Stuff and Book Depository, where you can buy manga for really good prices and support the channel at the same time. If you're based in the UK, head over to Forbidden Planet. It's probably the best site for manga at the moment, and if you're based over in America or other territories, you want to be using Right Stuff and Book Depository. So without further ado, let's get into the number one pick. These are in no particular order, by the way. So first up, we've got Vinland Saga. Now, if anyone knows me, they know I absolutely adore Vikings, and Vinland Saga is a manga about Vikings. It's a historical seinen manga, which means it's based more towards an adult audience, and it follows the main character Thorfinn on his quest to avenge his father. Now, it seems like a really basic premise, but the twist here is that he actually ends up teaming up with the person who murdered his father. So there's somewhat of a dichotomy between the two main characters in that Thorfinn hates this man and yet he has to work with him. The manga itself, as I've heard, is really psychological and it has amazing depictions of war. And I actually own the first 2 volumes of this series. I just don't have anything else. I haven't started reading it yet, but I'm really hoping that sometime soon I can grab some more volumes and start this because it just sounds right up my alley. Number 2, we've got Hunter x Hunter, or Hunter x Hunter, however you say it. Now, this is a manga that you've probably already heard of. It's a really long-running anime, and it's a manga that is plagued by the classic hiatus syndrome. This manga is an action and adventure shonen, and it follows the main character Gon on his quest to become a hunter, so that he can find his father who abandoned him when he was a child. Obviously, the word hunter suggests that they're out hunting demons or monsters, but I think it's also that they do a lot of like treasure hunting and that sort of thing. Obviously, the fact that I don't own these series or I haven't read these series means I don't know too much about them, but I know that Hunter x Hunter is well renowned as a really, really awesome manga with one of the best arcs in all of manga. And I've also heard that the characters are solid. I haven't started collecting this one yet because it's really difficult to get a hold of over in the UK. It's racking up quite a high price tag and there's quite a few volumes out. So it's not something that I've been able to put some money into, but I'm hoping to in the future. Obviously, with me, I don't read digitally, whereas I could just read this digitally and have it over and done with, but we hold out. Be patient in that. Numero 3. We've got Gantz. Now, this is a sci-fi. This is another seinen manga, so it's based more towards the adults. And I've heard nothing but amazing things about Gantz. It follows some main characters who are pulled out of their world after, I believe, a train accident and put into another death game sort of thing, similar to Alice in Borderland or Squid Game, if you've seen that on Netflix. And they're given cool weapons and tech and forced to kill aliens. And it basically sounds like this death game / battle royale with these people who need to, 1, figure out how they got there, 2, figure out maybe how to escape, and 3, kill lots of aliens. Now, this is probably the most expensive series on the list to collect, which is why I have not had the opportunity to, and it's also massively out of print. They reprinted it in omnibus editions that are near impossible to get a hold of, and then the single editions, much akin to 20th Century Boys, are also very hard to get a hold of. But at some point I will be picking up Gantz. I am super looking forward to reading it because it sounds like an awesome story. Number 4. Now, this is a manga that I really should watch the movie for, and I haven't yet, but it's Akira. This is another sci-fi manga that's based in the future to when it was written, but the past now, because I think it's based in like 2020. It's based in 2019. Ignore me. So basically, it's set in Tokyo, and it's set a little while after the entire city was wiped out by a nuclear weapon called Akira. Now, this nuclear weapon was set off during World War III, and since then, the city's kind of come back to life a little bit. It follows the main character who is the leader of a biker gang, and he needs to go and save his friend who has been kidnapped and taken to a scientific facility. Now, this friend is being experimented on and has somehow gained the superpowers that allow him to become the next Akira, who is the prophesized killer of the world, basically. And I assume it's about them stopping the end of the world. So classic story tropes, that's something I'm really invested in. It's another sci-fi, which I'm a big fan of, and I've just heard amazing things about the film, so obviously the manga must be good too. Now, this is one that I can actually get my hands on pretty easily, but I haven't got the money just yet. There's a really awesome box set that's out and it's in stock at the moment. You can get it from places like Right Stuff and Forbidden Planet, link in the description. And I believe those come with hardcovers, and then you can also get softcover versions, which I actually sent someone a message about on Facebook earlier. So fingers crossed, by the time this video comes out, I might actually have a hold of this one. Number 5, Golden Kamui. Now, this is a series that basically all of MangaTube are ranting and raving about at the moment, and it's something I know very little about. I did have the opportunity to buy it and I passed it up, and now I'm kicking myself. This series is an action adventure series, but it includes a lot of historical aspects, a lot of interesting factual learning, and also it has other things like cooking, hunting, all that sort of thing. And it follows a group of characters who are on the hunt to find a mysterious treasure, and the map to the treasure is tattooed on people's backs who have escaped a particular prison. So I assume they're having to find these prisoners, get the pieces of the map, and then find the treasure. Now, this is an ongoing series, and I believe there's about 22 volumes at the moment. And I don't know if there's any end in sight, so that's why I haven't started picking it up, because it's a huge series and I need to finish some of the ones I'm currently collecting. I think it's really interesting that you learn a lot from this manga. You kind of learn about wildlife, about animals, about history, about cooking. I think that's a really interesting take to have, especially on something that's more shonen-esque. So I am really looking forward to potentially picking up Golden Kamui in the future. Number 6, we've got Doro Hiduro. Now, I have heard nothing but amazing things about this, and I have absolutely no idea what it's about. Doro Hiduro is set in a city called The Hole, where the dregs of society live, and they're constantly abused and experimented on by people that can use magic. They're left killed or disfigured, and it follows the main character who has had his entire head turned into that of an alligator. It's a pretty cool premise to start off. He's also got amnesia, so we've got the mystery element of him trying to find out, one, how he's become who he is, and also who he was before. I love the idea of a mystery. I love the idea of piecing together a backstory. So this one sounds super interesting to me, and the main character himself just seems really heavy metal, and I like that a lot. Oh, also, he's like a magician hunter, and that just sounds freaking dope. Number 7 is Parasite. Now, I've actually got volume 1 of this, and it was one of the first mangas that I ever bought. This is a super awesome sci-fi series. It follows the main character who gets infected with a parasite during an alien invasion. But the parasite kind of messed up, and instead of infecting its brain, he infected the main character's arm. And they now have this symbiotic relationship where they're working together to try and stop the alien invasion and to kill the other parasites, basically. The series itself follows the humans beginning to understand the parasites, and then the parasites beginning to understand the humans. It's another one of those series that's very psychological. It makes you think about who's right and wrong in this situation. And the first volume was super amazing, and I'd love to pick up more of it. To be honest, I completely forgot what the art was like in this. The art is also really cool. I'm going to pick this back up soon. Leon out here about to go on Facebook Marketplace and buy all of Parasite. Number 8, we've got The Promise Neverland. Now, The Promise Neverland is a series that the manga I've heard nothing but amazing things about. The anime, on the other hand, not so much. The story follows a group of orphans who live in an orphanage. They live this perfect life, but something isn't quite right. They're heralded over by the mother, who is the person that looks after them. And one day, a couple of the orphans actually escape the orphanage, going out into the world beyond, which they've been banned from doing, and finding out that the purpose they're in the orphanage is not so much nice. That didn't make any sense. It's not so nice, and it's not as it seems. So then they all need to decide to leave the orphanage to escape and to survive in the outside world. And this just sounds like a super awesome mystery-esque thriller series that really is something I want to read. It's not the longest series either. It seems like it would be quite easy to get a hold of. Obviously, when there's like 20 or so volumes, it is a little bit expensive, and it takes up quite a lot of space on the shelf, which is why I haven't picked it up already. But I'm pretty sure this is one I'm going to really enjoy, so maybe sometime soon. Number 9 is another series that I already own a couple of volumes of, and that is Made in Abyss. Now, Made in Abyss is one of my favorite animes of all time. It was a season that I watched when I wasn't too versed in what anime was, but it really pulled me in. The world building was absolutely fantastic. It's based in a world where there is this huge hole in the ground called the Abyss, and the Abyss has certain levels, and people adventure down into the Abyss. The further down you you go, the worse this abyss gets. It turns the science there, the atmosphere, it all changes, and it's very harsh on humans. And coming up through the abyss can actually lead to your death. So the further down you go, the more likely it is you'll never return. So it follows our main character who is becoming an adventurer, and she finds a relic, which is basically a bit of tech from old times. And this relic is a young boy who is a robot. And together they're going to delve deep into the abyss because the boy wants to find out who he is, why he was made, and where he comes from. And the girl wants to find her mother, who is this amazing adventurer who has traveled to the very bottom of the abyss. It's a really awesome series with lots of twists and turns. Apparently it has one of the best antagonists in any manga, which I'm super looking forward to. And the anime itself I really loved, so I'm just looking forward to reading further on in the manga. I think there is an anime season 2 coming out soon. There's also a movie I need to watch, but we'll get to that another time. Okay, number 10, and this one actually kind of took me out of left field. It's a series that I've learned a lot about over watching manga videos, and it just sounds really, really great, and that is GTO. Now, GTO is basically a slice of life drama manga, and it follows a former gang leader or gang member who's decided that he's gonna become the best teacher in all of Japan. I don't really know how you make this decision from going from being a gangster to being a teacher, but I'm sure you find out in the manga. And basically it's one of those stories where teacher who is not so great of a teacher, not so conventional, comes in and reforms a class of misfits. A lot like maybe the Dead Poets Society, the film, if anyone's seen that. It just sounds really fantastic. It sounds funny, it sounds interesting and quite emotional, and it just seems like a series that a lot of people recommend, a lot of people are really massive fans of, and it seems like a series that would be a change of pace to my normal collecting habits. I kind of want that for myself, so I do want to pick this up at some point. However, it needs to get reprinted because this manga is very, very hard to get a hold of. And there you have it. That's my top 10 picks for manga that I want in my collection. If you own any of the manga that I've listed and have any thoughts, any reviews for me, please leave them in the comment box down below and tell me some manga that you wish you owned in your collection. If you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be notified every time that I upload. Make sure you use the links down in the description if you want to buy any manga. It helps me out and you get some manga for yourself. That would be much appreciated. Forbidden Planet, Right Stuff, and Book Depository down below. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.